On this day of remembering St. Vincent de Paul, the patron of charitable societies, it's amazing to me how timely is this influential saint of the poor. Think of the Haitian immigrants at the border in Del Rio, Texas, living under a bridge. No longer there, thousands have been deported back to Mexico or to Haiti itself. There's no facile and easy solution to the mass migration of so many from Haiti, Central America, and many other countries around the world. The first reading today speaks of God's jealousy for Zion, for Israel, a poor people, conquered by enemies, scattered among the neighbors of the East and the West, as slaves and troubled persons with no permanent home. The Lord paints a picture, a vision of peaceful and prosperous Jerusalem to come. Old men and women will sit in the streets in Jerusalem, each with a staff in hand. And the city shall be filled with boys and girls playing in the streets. St. Vincent says, if you consider the poor in the light of faith, then you will observe that they are taking the place of the Son of God who chose to be poor. Jesus says, the Father sent me to preach good news to the poor. As followers of Christ, the poor man who died for us, we too do well to care for the poor, to console them, to help them, and to support them. In every Catholic parish worth its salt, there is a Society of St. Vincent de Paul chapter. Often it's the elderly, the retired, committed people who do the bulk of the service to the poor in their neighborhoods without complaining and with extraordinary generosity of heart. It is our duty to prefer the service of the poor to everything else, and often such service as quickly as possible. If a needy person requires help during prayer time, this is a quote from St. Vincent, do whatever needs to be done with peace of mind. Offer the deed to God as your prayer. Do not become upset or feel guilty because you interrupted your prayer to serve the poor. God is not neglected if you leave him for such service. One of God's works is merely interrupted so that another can be carried out. So when you leave prayer to serve some poor person, remember that this service is performed for God. Charity is certainly greater than any rule, since she is a noble mistress. This is still a quote from St. Vincent de Paul. We must do whatever she commands, charity. With renewed devotion, then we must serve the poor, especially outcasts and beggars. They have been given to us as our masters and patrons. That's the end of that quote. It's a beautiful quote from St. Vincent. Every family of baptized